Welcome to another episode of Anubhav Sapra Show. Today we have Deepika Shetty, who is a cookbook author and a chef. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on.
Ma'am, I was going through your website. It
Okay.
says you have studied commerce
Yeah.
and then you had passion in cooking. So how it happened?
Uh, how it happened was I did my BCom, but I was actually never interested in that line. It was because my parents thought that was the best thing for me to do at that time. So I went ahead with it.
Mhm,
Um, at the end, the last year of my BCom, I got married. I got
mhm,
married quite early. And after I got married is when I did my culinary training. Because food was something, I think that topic was something was my comfort zone. And I think before I didn't know that I wanted to pursue that as a professional line. uh, I'm sure, like, if I had told that to my parents, they would be they wouldn't have been so excited about it. But yeah, I think after, when I realized that this is something that I want to do, I pursued it. And then I actually trained in everything, but my interest was more towards desserts and sweets. So I worked also as a pastry chef, as a junior pastry chef for a while. So yeah, that's how it happened. Actually, it wasn't accidental, but it was like something, step by step. I how do you say, like, one thing leads to another, and then I decide that that's something that I have to do.
mhm. How long you have been a chef?
uh I never 6 7 years now.
Okay,
Yeah.
great, great. And you are a pastry chef.
I worked as a pastry chef. I trained for everything, but
Uh-huh.
the job that I at that time which I got was for pastry, and I was quite happy to do that. Like, that
Mhm,
was something that was my first interest. Sweets. I have a sweet tooth, so, and I love baking, or all kinds of sweets. So that was something I wanted to work as a
mhm.
pastry chef. So I took on that job.
But
It
it
was
says,
quite fun, actually. I mean, I enjoyed, even though it was quite labor intensive, like you're on your feet
mhm.
8 to 9 hours, in a day. I thoroughly enjoyed myself, actually.
uh, and then you have lived in different parts of the world.
Yeah.
You were born in Kundapur. That's your home
Hometown.
town, and
Hmm.
then you moved to Bombay, Bahrain, Bangalore, Dubai.
Yeah. So, sometimes when people used to ask me, where are you from, I didn't know what to answer them, because, of all these different places that I had to explain. I was born in Kundapur, and at the time my father was in Bahrain. He was going back and forth.
Mhm,
So we stayed with my grandparents. That was the initial year, and then we moved to Bombay after.
mhm.
It was known as Bombay before; it's Mumbai now, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I grew up there for the first 8 years, and then we moved on. My dad insisted that everybody goes, so we all moved to Bahrain.
Mhm,
After that, till I got married, I was there. Then we
mhm,
moved to Bangalore, me and my husband. Then for a few years we were there, and then we stayed in Belgaum as well in between,
mhm.
when my husband is doing his post graduation. Yeah, and then we moved to Dubai after, so we've moved quite a bit.
Uh, So I'm sure there will be a lot of food memories associated with all these places where you have been.
Yes. Growing up for me, Bombay was amazing because my friends were from different cultural backgrounds, So there was paratha one day, or the halwa puri they make at Kanya Puja.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and my neighbors were Gujarati, so that was like another, like completely different uh, cuisine that we used to have. And of course, at home, my mom always made proper ghar ka, Kundapur. I mean, from Mangalore side, right? So we
Mhm,
made a coconut-based food.
mhm.
So it was a nice mix of cuisines to grow up with, because I think I'm glad I had that. It's very important. I think when you're younger, if you're exposed to all these things, you appreciate it a lot more
Yeah.
as you're grown up. So yeah, even in Bahrain, because it's a completely different cuisine altogether from India.
Mhm.
Again, my friends, like we had different foods at different houses. It used to amaze me that the same ingredients would taste so different in each house. That used to amaze me. I used to ask everybody's mothers for recipes. Even
Mhm.
when I was younger, I used to take back, like, there was some prawn pulao. My friend, she's from Goa, her place they would make. And misal misal
Mhm.
bolte
Yeah.
na? Yeah,
Mhm.
that used to be like, oh my god, I can actually put save into a sabji that,
Mhm.
it used to be like, we've never had something like that at home. And because at home predominantly it was only our food.
Mhm.
So yeah, so like different cuisines, and I'm glad I had that actually. So here, there are certain rules that you have to follow. So there was this pop-up market that I was part of, uh, which allowed food.
Mhm.
So it used to happen like twice in a month. And I used to do things like naan katais and um, like jeera biscuit,
Yeah.
but like a shortbread with Indian spices,
Mhm.
or pistachio cake which has cardamoms in it, or anything. If somebody wanted something specific, they would pre-order and they would pick it up from there.
Mhm.
That was fun because I got to create different things myself. Like mixing of um, your like biscuits and cookies with Indian spices. It's quite nice.
Yeah.
So these kind of things I got to do, which I had the freedom to do it. So that was what, like, I started Short Girl Bakes right after uh, I graduated from culinary school. But for a long time it was, I had not really done something till I started the markets and the freelance. So if anybody wanted something done like a project, I used to take on that. It
Mhm.
was my own time, so I got to set my work timing, so it was good that way.
Yeah. And now, coming to the recipes part, you have mentioned that you create recipes
Yeah.
and the content that speak on its own. So, what are the process involved in creating a recipe? In terms of Indian cuisine, it's very difficult to standardize a recipe because it changes from household to household. It
Yes,
changes
definitely.
from person to person. The way my mom cooks the food, the same dish at your place would be very different.
Yes, of course.
So standardization is, I think, is very difficult to achieve in context of Indian cuisine or regional cuisine. So how does it work?
So when I say I create, so what used to happen, if, for example, with my book, this was, it took me like quite some time because all the recipes that I had written from, like 2000s in my notebook. But everything was how my mother has told. She would say "Haath bhar poha,"
Mhm.
and wo lota mein dal. She would
Mhm.
tell me things like that.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
And that lota would be a different size in my house, and it
Mhm.
used to it used to never look like how she made it.
Mhm.
And I always say this, like how you said, like
Mhm.
you give one dosa ka batter to some, like five different people, they'll come up with five different dosas.
Mhm.
It will look different, it will taste different, the texture will be different. So that's how it was even with me and my mom. But then I wanted to have exactly how she did it because that's how I know it
Mhm.
growing up. uh, and even at home people would tell me, like, this is not like how your mom made it.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's nice but it's not the same. So
Mhm.
then I got down to it. Everything I started measuring, because I'm a baker by profession.
Oh.
I like to weigh things,
Mhm.
and that was my, the smallest things I would try to weigh. When she was making achar, I every time she pulled out something with her hands, I would make her put it into a bowl, and I wrote it down with measurements, like weighed it with cups. And because people always ask you for, when you give in grams, people ask you how much is it in cups.
Mhm.
So I had to sit and translate all that for myself first before I wrote it down. So there are certain things which, like my mom would make, and I didn't want to do it exactly the same way, not traditional food but other
Mhm.
things. So I would change those according to our palate maybe, or if I had to make it for somebody else. But
Mhm.
again, like, I had to keep those measurements in place. So like that, I started writing down everything I did. If I made something new today by myself, I would measure it by cups and grams and then write it down.
Mhm.
In my book also, I put a last page where I've mentioned coconut. When I say one coconut, I'm taking a standard size coconut, like a normal size, and
Mhm.
I weighed it after I grated it, so that people don't have that confusion, because kai coconut will be, small, yeah,
Mhm.
bada, and I
Mhm.
didn't want that confusion to happen. So I weighed everything,
Mhm.
and then that's how I started to write it for. And it's difficult to say for how many people all the time, to to be strict with it, because it depends on how people eat
Mhm.
in each house. So I just kept it like, okay, this is a family of 4, it should be fine. So yeah, that's how I did. Even when I was writing for my book, that's the practice I did. It took me a while to translate everything, and ingredients also, because everything is not available everywhere.
Mhm.
The taste of food and ingredients changes place to place.
Yeah.
So I try to keep that in mind. um, so it in the end it worked out. It took me a while, but it worked out well, actually.
तो मैम जो रेसिपीज आपके बुक में है,
Hmm.
आर दिस ऑल ऑफ योर हाउस, लाइक व्हाट
Yeah,
you have grown up eating?
yeah, it's Manglorean predominantly. I wanted to keep the book strictly to that, under that bracket, because it was easier for me to say that this is what I grew up with and this is the food from our place.
Mhm.
And because our place is a mix of different communities,
Mhm.
um, it's very natural for people to, their food to be influenced from each other.
Mhm.
Like rasam, maybe it wasn't so common in my mom's day
Mhm.
to have at home, but they would definitely have it in a temple or a shadi, where the batru, we call them batru, they're like the Brahmin cooks who
Mhm.
set up the tent, or in the temple, they who cooks. So that rasam is very, everybody's very fond of that. uh, so like my mom has been cooking it from my childhood, and only later I realized, when they would say, oh, hum log temple mein ja rahe hain, so it will be, we'll get to eat those things,
Mhm.
which is what they are known for. But even that is in my book, because I have grown up eating it. Like, wo jo Mangalore cucumber is there, you've seen the Mangalore cucumber,
Mhm.
the stripy, you would have seen it actually. It's like a kaddu, but it's green and orange stripes. It's called Madras cucumber also. It's called the cooking sambar cucumber.
Mhm.
So uska ek curry banta hai, which
Mhm.
is like slightly on the sweeter sides, sour and spicy.
Mhm.
So that I've always had in, like, it's for sure you will get in shadis, the
Mhm.
banana leaf meals. It's
Mhm.
always a part of that, the rasam and that particular thing, and that salad on the side, wo jo moong ka
जी.
salad banta hai, raw moong ka. Those things are always on that. So even that I've included as part of a banana leaf meal, because I have also grown up eating it at home.
Mhm.
So it was, I wanted it to be a, it's something, because every cuisine, like I said, is influenced from each other.
Mhm.
So everybody's house, they cook differently. There are fixed few things which, like, because I'm a bunt,
Mhm.
we have that kori roti, and that fish curries, and
Mhm.
the prawns, and those things are very common for us.
Mhm.
But other communities have their take on it, like they probably use a different kind of tamarind, um, or a slightly, maybe few different ingredients in it, but on the whole it's very similar,
Mhm.
because of that, give and take between each cultures, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am, you have talked about different ethnic communities in Mangalore.
Yeah.
So you have Muslims, you have Christians, you have
Yeah.
Saraswat Brahmins, Bunts.
Yeah.
So all of them, they have a different food culture.
Yeah, everybody has their own food culture, and they are known for different like special foods also. If you go to any of these breakfast places, no,
Mhm.
you'll have like pure vegetarian uh, khana, with the pure
Mhm.
vegetarian nashta,
Mhm.
which you get there, and which probably they are like they cook at home, and it tastes very different from what we make at home.
Mhm.
And the use of like local produces, or fresh produce, or seasonal jo hota hai,
Mhm.
like, so every community has, they cook in a certain way. Like, how do I say this, wo jo horse gram is there,
जी
so we make a chutney out of that. But
क्या
when we make rasam, we don't eat the horse gram. But some people I know, they make a dish out of it in a different community.
yeah
So I didn't know that. I used to always throw it after I have boiled and removed the pani. I used to always throw it. Then someone said, no, we make this out of it. So it's quite interesting, because the same ingredient, but every house has a different version of it. And every dish has a different name. Like so many, like, or snacks, it's known by 2-3 different names. In Tulu it's known by something different, in Kannada it's known by something different, Konkani, they have their own different name for it. And it used to get very confusing for me, because whenever I've posted any food and people used to ask me, is this particular thing, and then I had to search it, or I have to ask my mother, is this the same thing? Because then she would say, yeah, in Tulu it's called, because we predominantly speak Kannada at home. We are from Kundapur side. Towards Mangalore, they speak more of Tulu. So I wasn't familiar with Tulu words, because I've grown up speaking only Kannada, and that too a Kundapur side Kannada, which is very different. So I wasn't familiar with so many different names. But yeah, like I said, everybody has a different style of making the same thing.
So are there any, like, say, if you talk about the use of local ingredients and spices, I'm sure it will be same for everyone, like all the communities that are living there. Only I think the preparation style would change from one house to another house.
It does.
Like, say, in Kashmiri, we have Kashmiri Muslim cuisine and Kashmiri Pandit cuisine, the use of garlic and hing. Or that's a major difference. Or if we go to Goa, there also your use of toddy and vinegar, all those stuff. Is it similar in
kokum? Some communities use a lot of kokum. We don't use a lot of kokum. And there is one more tamarind that I think khatta something they add in certain curries, which is not very common with us. But when you taste it, it's ye side ka khana. It's like from this side. Yeah. And if dals have a little, it's on the sweeter side. It's more like in the temples, in that khana, you get a little more on the sweeter side. Ours is a little more heavier on the spice. So that spice, tamarind, khatta has to be like balanced. But each community, I feel, this is my take, like they have a little more of one particular flavor.
So is there any common thread, like, say, in terms of flavors, your flavor profile hai of you can say of your state, which binds all the communities of, or maybe we can say about Mangalore only? Is there any common thread of flavors?
I feel it's the chilies, the Berge chilies and the coconut, and use of khatta in the khana, like in the tamarind use also in the. I feel it's very common. Like it's something which is found in all southern, like households. But even if you see Mangalore itself, it's very heavy on the use of coconut. Like everything will have, even jaggery for that matter, because they used to grow sugar canes. My mom's family, like my grandmother, she used to grow they used to grow sugar canes, and they used to make the jaggery themselves. So that, and coconut oil, of course, how can I forget coconut oil? Everybody, like if you want to fry fish, say leke, to applying to your hair, it is coconut oil. And that is, I think, the essence of Mangalore, I feel, because when you land there, you'll see coconut everywhere. And it kind of sneaks into foods which is not supposed to be there also.
So
but
now,
chilies, coconut, I feel are this the backbone of the cuisine.
So now coming to your book, Coconut Groove, exploring coastal flavors. What are some of the quintessential flavors of coastal region of India, like coastal cuisine of India?
So when I speak coastal, because we are literally by the beach, kilometer away. So that's how I thought of it as, like, when we are landing in India to Mangalore, you just see like a blanket of coconut trees. So that's how I thought of it. And then you see the water. So that's how that name came. And because, like I said, everything had coconut in it. Uh, like, I feel that is the main flavor, I feel, like of. And the entire coastal belt also, this is a common ingredient, right? From
Mhm.
Kerala to Goa, coconut is very common because it's a coastal belt.
Mhm.
But when I say exploring coastal, it was more like my side
Mhm.
of yeah. But if you, yeah, like that's what I even talk about in the book. The entire stretch is like dotted by coconut trees, and there is nothing that it is not used for. From they make your the baskets or the mats, to they make this papads and they dry it on those coconut leaves, the fronds, no, they use it to weave a mat, and they use that mat
Mhm.
uh, to dry your coconuts or to dry papads. And for everything, I mean, I don't think there's any part of the tree that they don't use.
Mhm.
Even toddy comes from there, no. Yeah.
So, ma'am, in one of your interview, we said Coconut Grove is an attempt to show Manglorean cuisine beyond neer dosa and ghee roast.
Yeah. There is, I mean, ghee roast was made popular in this place called Shetty Lunch Home. So I
Ghee.
am from a place called Kundapur, which is 100 kilometers from Mangalore.
Mhm.
So there's a place called Shetty Lunch Home there, which is really famous. And they are the ones who came up with this ghee roast originally.
Mhm.
The family, it was run by a family.
Mhm.
So, and it was very well kept secret, right? But everybody had their own version, or very similar version of ghee roast. So when people think of Mangalore or thing, of course the neer dosa and ghee roast comes to mind. But there is so much more, the sweets, be it, or the kinds of nashta that we like, the breakfast items that we do, or which is not available at restaurants per se. Or
Mhm.
there's so many vegetarian dishes also that is not very popular,
Mhm.
because it's not very, like how it's not marketed well, maybe.
Not
uh,
commercial, you can say.
yeah, not commercial. See,
Mhm.
if you see like goli bajes and buns, these are all maybe created for that particular, like, it was a breakfast, like where you go out and eat these things. It
Mhm.
wasn't made at home as much before, but now of course everybody does it.
Mhm.
But from home, like, uh, the things that we make, like I said, the horse gram rasam that we make with that this thing with the sambar cucumber, or the kala chana curry,
Mhm.
and the chutneys, you make with the. I don't know if you know this thing called chakramuni sappu, which is it's called vitamin leaves, I think.
Mhm.
So which it grows, very easily there, and they use it. It's like a medicinal uh, herb. So they make chutneys out of that, and they have it with this thing called ganji. Ganji is the mata rice, the brown rice,
Mhm.
which is local there. No, they eat, and it's cooked in a broth, as in its own the water, and you have it because it's a humid place. That's what people would prefer to have in the night, and they'll have maybe a piece of fish or a dry fish chutney. Again, everything is ground with chilies and coconut. Then this, the fresh leaves, the brahmi leaves, ka
Mhm.
chutney, all these things which people do at home, which is not very like commercial, or it's
Mhm.
not something which is available in. And neer dosa also, it's a very common thing for us to have for breakfast. Ghar pe, like, we make it very often. At home, though, we eat idli with chicken curry. Not in When you go out to eat breakfast, it's usually idli, chutneys, and sambars, right? Our idli we make in katoris, the chota katori. I don't know if you've seen sannas, right?
Yeah, yeah, I've seen sannas.
Yeah, so it looks like that. It's
Mhm.
made in the same way, but it's sanna is made with toddy or yeast,
Mhm.
whereas we make it with dal and chawal, and we steam it in those little cups.
Yeah.
We have that with chicken curry. Agar raat mein, if you have had chicken curry, then the curry is kept for the morning, to have with the idli for the breakfast. And like these kind of things, which you wouldn't have heard of, like when I used to make idli and chicken for my friends who are not from the south, they used to be very surprised, like idli and chicken for like night for dinner. But it is very common for us. Diwali ke time pe, there is one day where we make dosa and chicken curry, whereas everybody is vegetarian. In buns, we have that one day. Afternoon we make veg, but raat ko we have dosa, the urad dosa, and chicken curry. That is it's a custom. And to date, I mean, even I do it, because I want my children to see that also. Um, so yeah, and I feel I've lost the thread of what I was saying in the beginning. But like I said, like these things are not very common outside. But people who are from Mangalore, they know it. It's,
What would be a typical meal in a Manglorean household? Like say starting from breakfast to dinner, what not essentially the festival food, but everyday food.
Every day. So we make idlis and dosas very often. Neer dosas also. Then there is methi dosa. Methi ka seeds ka dosa they make. Then during the season of jackfruits, they make jackfruit idli. It's called idli, but it's basically steamed in a huge basket, and then they cut it into pieces. That you can have it as it by itself, or you have it with a chicken curry or something like that. Something spicy it needs. These things are very like different kinds of dosas maybe, and how do I say, avlakke, we call it avlakke. It is poha, the patla poha.
I've tried it in Bangalore.
Yeah. Okay, patla poha and upma milake, we have that sometimes. Basically, it's, I think, mostly rice based. Everything is different forms of rice. So these are the things that we have for breakfast on every day. Maybe nowadays, like if we make chutney because it's faster, but at home, when we go home, there's always some curry for it, or satni along with the chutney. And then there's so many things. I don't know if you've tried this rice ka puri.
Rice puri.
Yeah, it's called akki vade or kai vade. It is rice and coconut milake. They make puri, and it's hollow inside, but it's nice and crisp. It's fried with like coconut oil. It tastes very nice, but that they don't make it very often because it's little time consuming. But that is also like, on some occasions they will make those things.
I was in Bangalore just for 2 days, and I loved the food.
Okay.
Some of the dishes I don't. Yeah, I remember trying jackfruit idli that I tried. Yeah, and then we went to a place called Giri Manjas. And there also we tried some of the coastal dishes. And then I remember also trying a very special kind of tea. I think it was multi-layered. Yeah, multi-layered tea.
Yeah. I've had that also.
That was also very, very unique.
Yeah.
So, ma'am, if you can take us on a short food trip of Mangalore, few of your favorite places.
Okay.
Yeah.
So actually, see, when we go from here, even though we are, the seafood is very available here, it tastes different there for us because I think of the location. It's that sea meets river. So the fish there tastes very different. You have had carne fish, the lady fish?
Yeah, I do.
The long thin ones.
Yeah, I did.
So that is one of our community favorite. So for sure, when we go there, we will go to this place. We go to Shetty Lunch Home. We go to by the beach. There are these. Can I say places? It's okay. There are these places where it's known for like fish fries, fish curry rice. I think our favorite would be this and JK in Kundapur. Then for sure when we go to Mangalore, there is Woodlands for your snacks, like your goli bhajes and buns and filter coffee, those kind of things. Then Ideal ice cream. I don't know if you've had that.
Yes,
but that is a must.
Ideal or Pabba?
Pabbas and Ideals. Yeah, both.
Is same?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm very confused. I always call them
Papa, I
maybe it's
remember trying gadbad ice cream also.
gadbad. Yes,
Gadbad.
I'm sorry. I must have. I've confused myself now. But gadbad, yes, you have to try it there. Then there is this one place we used to go. It was near the lighthouse on the top, where we used to eat again everything. We used to kind of eat fish till it comes here, because it's not the same taste what we get here, right? So we used to go on our we used to go twice in a year. I mean, because of COVID now I've not traveled, but otherwise twice a year we go, and we we make it a point to go to all these places. um but then most of the time we end up going to all our relatives houses and then eating chicken sukkas, and all these things are home cooked. So we used to like stuff ourselves there. But definitely woodlands for your snacks, and the gudbuds you should not miss. And Shetty lunch home in Kundapur.
So, ma'am, any cooking tip which you'd like to share from your book?
Cooking tip, one thing I have always stressed on is the traditional food, because my book is about traditional food. Many people don't make a lot of things at home now. There is this thing called ragi manni, which is very time consuming. It's made with ragi, coconut, and very little bit of rice, and you cook it over the stove for a long time. Thing is, these are the kind of things we don't make very often. It's because it's time consuming, and a lot of time people think that it is difficult to do. It's actually not difficult to do, because the ingredients are very simple. You get it in most of the places, but it's just that it's time consuming. So my tip I have always stressed, is have a little patience. Plan yourself well, so that you're not doing too many things at a time, and you can concentrate on this. And once that dish is ready, there is the joy that you get, that you've made something which probably your grandmother or your mother used to do before, and you have never done. It's something else. So my tip is always like, stick initially, first time when you're doing a recipe, always read the recipe well. Read everything really well. Try to stick to the ingredients as much as possible. And of course, patience, because when you take time and you enjoy it, it's the outcome is very nice. It's, you'll not forget that. Like for when I was just married, I didn't know how to make neer dosa, and you won't believe how many dosas I've made which look like papad. And I have seen my mother do it, like it was just like that. Now it is very therapeutic for me, and I do it for nashta at 6:30 in the morning. And this is the time when everybody's leaving for work and for school, and you have a day ahead. But that is at half an hour. I make some 20 odd dosas, and it's very easy for me now, because I've taken the time to understand it. I've stuck to that measurements, which I know, which is comfortable for me. And it's just practice and patience. That's all.
You have written this book is all about your home recipes.
Yeah.
ये कितना जरूरी है कि हम लोगों के लिए maybe preserve their home recipes or document it.
Yeah. When I started writing it, it was a little overwhelming, because I didn't want people to I didn't want to make so many mistakes where people would say like, this is not how it is done or something. But it was very important for me to document how we do. Like, everybody has their own style of cooking, or every cuisine, like on the whole, I'm saying, like from each place, right? Everybody has a style or their cuisine that which is slowly getting lost with, like, even like my generation. And then my kids didn't know much about because they've lived in Bangalore and they've lived here. My son is allergic to coconut. Out of all the things, he's allergic to coconut. So he doesn't get to have any of our traditional khana. So initially I used to not make a lot of our food. Then I felt even I'm forgetting these things, every time we used to go to our place, like now my parents have a house in the city now, but my husband's side, they still have a farmhouse. So that's when I thought, like, because then when as they're renovating the houses, those small things are lost, which was part of my childhood, and my kids will not get to see that. So that's when I started writing these things down, and then I thought, okay, I should make a book out of that. But I think, yeah, everybody should, even if it's just for themselves, have a notebook, like write these things down, because these are like, there are so many things which are lost already. The art, when my mother talks about her mother making jaggery, and that shakkar, that very, it looks like glass, the, what do you call it? We
Mishri.
call it kal sakre. It's like candy, like rock sugar, but it's see through.
Uh-huh.
So she used to talk about how her mother used to be there when they're making that, but nobody does it now. For their own home. She's doing all this for their own home. When they used to make coconut oil, everything was grown at home, and then sold for whatever is excess, they used to be sold. But those things are not happening now, because people, one, have moved. There's mixes of cultures, or people have moved far away, and nobody has a time to take care of those things, or learn those things anymore. I think very few people are still doing that, and that's amazing, because it takes time and energy to um, keep that alive, I feel. And I wanted something like, going forward, something should be there, for our children to take forward, be familiar with these flavors, because staying abroad here, everything is very easy, Zomato, and they're ordering pizzas and burgers and everything, which is fine, but they should at the same time have knowledge on their own food. It shouldn't be alien to them. So this was the point, when I started documenting it myself, and then thought of writing a book also came. And even if it was just a notebook, I was happy with that. I was happy having just that, like, I have a notebook with, like, these small notebooks I carry, and I used to write it down every time I used to go. Then my mother has so many of her books which she's written down, which I think everybody should document. It's a lost art otherwise.
So the
Of
best
course,
way
we're
to,
moving forward. We're moving forward, and we have new gadgets to help us cut the time and all those things. So we should take advantage of that. Like, we have electric grinders now. Before, everything was done by hand. So we should make use of those things and take it forward.
thank you so much for your time.
Thank you
And
so much for having me on.
how can one order the book? Like, is it available on Amazon?
It's available on through my publishers, because I published in India. It's available through my publishers for the if anybody wants, I can share a discount code for you. And then it's also available on Amazon, Amazon India, and internationally also it's available on Amazon.
Great. Please share the link with me. I will
I
add
will.
them in the show notes. So if
Yes.
someone wants to order, they can directly order from that link.
And I will share a discount code also, so that will be nice. You can order directly from the publisher's website.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me on. It was a pleasure, actually.
Thank you.